Good day, everyone. Good day, Ma'am Jorin Lumutang. I am Cabalos Marijoy M. and I am the second presenter from the Group 4. My discussion for today is the continuation from the report of Miss Andrea Ruz Lovino, which is under paren on the introduction of metalworking. At the end of my part, malalaman natin what is metalworking and metal casting, what is the four popular welding methods and its processes, and facts about the welders and mechanists' duties and working conditions. But before I start, allow me first to have an overview or introduction of metalworking. Metalworking is the process of forming and shaping metals to create useful tools, objects, equipment, parts, and structures. Metalworking projects generally fall under the categories of forming, cutting, and joining, and may involve techniques such as cutting, welding, casting, and molding. Materials used for metalworking include ferrous and non-ferrous metals such as steel, aluminum, gold, silver, bronze, iron, and many more. So let us come to welding. When we say welding, it is a process in which metals or sometimes plastics are heated, welded, and mixed to produce a joint with properties similar to those of the metals being joined. When we say welding metal, it is a fabrication process. When we say fabrication process, it is a constructing products by combining typically standardized parts using one or more individual processes. For example, steel fabrication is one of the production of metal structures using a range of processes such as cutting, bending, and assembling. Yung fabrication process na yun that is based on joining materials via fusion, which is combination siya of pressure mixed with heat. So in general, si filler metal is added to form the welded joint, which is the material used to join to the two pieces together. It is a metal added during welding or brazed welding. Kaya in some cases, pag si filler material is added to form the welded joint, mas nagiging matibay siya or have a strong resistance to welded joint than the original material. So at the same time, this welding process is napakahalaga niya from the welding process itself when it comes about sa mga melted metals kasi sinisecure niya yung metals or melted metal from being contaminated and or oxidized. So yung mga welded operations can be categorized according to their different energy sources na ginagamit. Among them are a gas flame, an electric arc, a laser, and ultrasound. So there are the most popular welding methods include, the first one is oxy-fuel welding or oxy-welding. So oxy-fuel welding or OFW is also known as gas welding or oxy-fuel gas welding. The term oxy-fuel is a combination of oxygen and a fuel gas, means it's a process in which oxygen and a fuel or combustible gas both required. Yung welding method na ito ay gumagamit ng fuel gases and oxygen to weld and cut metals and weld types of metals including carbon steel, alloy steel, cast iron, aluminum, and magnesium using pure oxygen and fuel or gas. In oxy-fuel welding, there is a torch. So yung torch na yun is used to heat two pieces of metals in a temperature that produces a molten pool. The second one is shielded metal arc welding or electric welding. Si shielded metal arc welding or electric welding is gumagamit ng electrode. When we say electrode, it is a conductor through which electricity enters or leaves an object's substance or region, which is yung electrode na ito is coated in flux to protect the weld paddle. So yung electrode holder holds the wire as it slowly melts away. So it is to join metal together using consumable electrode. So it also known as manual metal arc welding. It is often used for heavy duty work and also used in variety of industries including construction and pipelines. The third one is the gas tungsten arc welding or inert gas. Yung method na ito ay gumagamit ng mga non-consumable electrode to produce the weld. It is also known as tungsten inert gas welding. So, the weld area and electrode are protected from oxidation or other atmospheric contamination by an inert shielding gas such as argon and helium. So, si inert shielding gas which is under the si argon and helium yung nagpro-protect sa welding area from the atmospheric contamination. So it is best suited to weld thin sections of stainless steel and light metals such as aluminum, magnesium, and upper alloys. So yung process na ito, inaalaw niya si operator to have a greater control over the welding process than the other methods, kaya it results in stronger and high integrity welds. The fourth method is the gas metal arc welding or inert gas. This method uses a wire feeding gun that feeds the wire of an adjustable speed, and yung speed na ito, it flows an argon-based shielding gas or mix of argon and carbon dioxide over sa weld paddle to protect it from atmospheric contamination. So, gas metal arc welding in which an electric arc is na-form siya between a consumable metal insert or inert gas wire electrode and the workpiece metal. So, it generates heat that melts the workpiece metal and is then joined. So, it is a semi-automatic or automatic process which uses AC or DC from the power supply. So, we come now to metal casting. So, my question is metal casting still exist nowadays? Yes, of course. Metal casting still exists nowadays because mostly metal casting used in large manufacturing industries, making engines, fire hydrants, medical equipment, and even cell phones cover made using metal casting. So let us define what is metal casting. So when we say metal casting, it is a process. It is a metal working process so that is known to have started in an ancient times and it is still continuously and also widely na ginagamit sa paggawa ng mga sculptures, tools, and jewelry. Metal casting is just giving the metal a shape by melting it and flowing it through a cast. The metal is heated so much that it melts and then it is poured into some geometric shapes. After cooling, the metal hardens and forms that geometric shape of the cast. So the metal casting process is older siya than welding and has a lot of applications. So metal casting, it is involves creating a mold that molten metal that can be poured into and allowed to dry. So the most popular method include lost wax casting and sand casting. So they are subdivided by the mold material. Example is the sand or metal, and then the example of pouring method such as gravity or vacuum. So now let us differentiate what is metal, welding metal and metal casting. So when we say metal casting, it is a manufacturing. It is a fabrication process that involves pouring molten liquid metal into a mold to create a 3D metal part or to create geometric shapes. When we say naman welding metal, welding metal, it is a process that joins two or more parts of an object using heat. It is joining materials, combination of pressure mixed with heat. So it lets you join materials and also metals by using heat at high temperature. So we come now to welders. So welders, in a broad sense, a welder is someone either professional or amateur who uses welding equipment to join metals or thermoplastics together. A welder needs to set components for welding according to standard specifications while following safety rules and regulations. So, si welders perform some or all of the following duties. The first one is she or he read, understand blueprints or the welding process specifications to operate manual or semi-automatic welding equipments to fuse metal segments using these 7 processes, such as the first one of welding processes is the gas tungsten arc welding or JTOW. So the first type of welding is the JTOW. It stands for gas tungsten arc welding, also known as the IG or tungsten inert gas welding. So in this welding process, the welder must use both hands at the same time. One hand to hold the welding torch and in another hand to hold the filler metal. So coordination is required, but the welder enjoys more control over the finished product. So if you were learning to drive a car, JTOW would be like driving a stick shift. Take note that a gas tank is necessary with the IG welding to provide the constant flow of gas needed to protect the weld. The second is the gas metal arc welding or GMAW. MIG or metal inert gas welding. MIG welding is a simple form of welding that can easily be performed by new welders. So MIG stands for metal inert gas. Thus, it is sometimes called gas metal arc welding or GMAW. So it is one of the most common welding processes used by welders. It is a quick process that involves the filler metal being fed through the wand while gas is expelled around it to shield it from outside elements. This means it's not great for outdoor use. Still, it's a versatile process and can be used to weld many different types of metal at different thicknesses. So, if someday you want to try this process of GMAW, you are likely to enjoy it for its speed and learning ease. And if you were learning to drive a car, GMAW will be like driving an automatic. The third one is the flux cord arc welding or FCOW. This type of welding is similar to MIG welding. In fact, MIG welders can often perform double duty as FCOW welder as well. Just like in MIG welding, a wire that serves as the electrode and the filler metal is fed through your wand. this is where things begin to differ. For FCOW kasi, yung wire niya has a core of flux that creates a gas shield around the weld. This eliminates the need for an external gas supply. And the fourth one is the plasma arc welding or PAW. Plasma arc welding is similar din kay GTAW or gas tungsten arc welding, but PAW uses a smaller arc, increasing the precision of the weld. It also uses a different torch, achieving much higher temperatures. Yung gas niya is pressurized inside the wand, which is it can result creating plasma. The plasma is then ionized, making it electrically conductive. So if this happens, this allows the arc to be created, producing incredibly high temperature that can melt the base metal. This allows plasma arc welding to be performed with no filler metal, another similarity to TIG welding. This type of welding allows producing aesthetically pleasing welds as well as high level of strength. The fifth one is shielded metal arc welding or SMAW. SMAW stands for shielded metal arc welding, also known as stick welding. This process of welding started in the 1930s but continues to be updated and improved today. It has remained a popular type of welding because it is simple and easy to learn as well as low cost to operate. Since it doesn't require gas, this process can be used outdoors. So even in adverse weather such as rain and wind, it also works well on rusted, painted, and dirty surfaces, making it great for equipment repairs. Next is the oxy-acetylene arc welding or OAW. You can weld or join two pieces of metal in various ways. However, gas welding, or as it is known, oxy-fuel welding or oxy-acetylene welding, is one of the oldest form of heat-based welding, and even today, gas welding is the only process that can be used when there is no electricity. We can define gas welding as a welding process where two metal parts are welded by heating with a flame formed by the combustion of a fuel gas with oxygen. So, oxy-fuel processes such as heating, cutting, brazing, and welding. The last process is the resistance welding submerged arc welding or SO. When we say resistance welding submerged arc welding, it is also a process in which the joining of metals is produced by heating with an arc or arcs between a bare metal electrode and the work. A welding process which utilizes a bare consumable metallic electrode producing an arc between itself and the work piece within a granular shielding flux applied around the weld. So there is an advantages of SO and disadvantages. Some of the advantages of SO is very high welding rate. The process is suitable for automation and high quality weld structures. While the disadvantages is weld may contain slug inclusions and also limited applications of the process. The next is the other duties of welders is welders can operate manual or semi-automatic flame cutting equipment as well as brazing. When we say brazing, it is a process that joins two or more metal surfaces by letting molten metal flow into the joint. And also, soldering equipments. When we say soldering equipments, ito yung mga hand tools used in soldering. So the equipment used for soldering is the soldering iron. It is used to heat solder. No? Next is welders can also operate brakes, shears, and other metal straightening. When we say metal straightening, it is a heat treating process of many components, and also bending machines. Example of bending machine is to form, no, forming machine tools. And the last one is welders can repair worn parts of metal products by welding or extra layers. So the next is we come now to facts about welders' working conditions could include. First is karamihan sa mga welders are related machine operators that works 40 hours per week in mostly sa mga factories and machine tools and sa mga construction sites. Yung mga nagtatrabaho naman at mills, factories, and processing plants may work night and weekends. Or if there is a loaded work, they do shift to work. Next is yung mga machine welders always work in controlled factory environments. When we say controlled factory environments, the most well-known environment is a laboratory. No? These rooms have controlled temperatures and pressure and are separated from other operations. And also, yung mga welders naman that working in manufacturing job, when we say manufacturing job, involves the creation of new products either from raw materials or by assembling different components through physical, chemical, or mechanical means. So, welders may work at sawmills, pulp and mills, or mines. So next is when it comes about naman sa oil and gas industry, hinahire yung mga welders to work on oil and gas rigs and pipelines, and also often work outdoors in various weather condition, no? These sacrifices nagtatrabaho sila kahit anong pang kondisyon ng panahon. So they may also required to work from scaffolds or platforms. When we say scaffolds, it is also called scaffolding or staging. It is a temporary structure that allows welder to stand on a stable platform to work or height or in hard to reach places. Next is most welders working in a machine shops or construction sites. So there is other potential hazards to welders, and it includes the exposure to fumes, intense light, and burns. So that it is important that safety precautions must be taken to avoid injury. Next is welders work in a construction industry often or madalas na nililipat sila sa iba't ibang job sites to work. And also the last is there is a short periods of unemployment between projects are also common na yun sa mga welders. So, let us discuss the mechanists perform the following duties. No? So, if welders perform some of the following duties, mechanists can do the same. So, when we say mechanist, it is a person, a person who operates machinery, specialized skilled operator or operator of machine tools. So, mechanists use lathes, milling machines, grinders, and other machine tools to produce precision metal parts. So, mechanists also perform some of the following duties. The first one is mechanists inspect machined parts and tooling in order to maintain quality control standards. Next is mechanists work for machinery, equipment, motor vehicle, automotive parts, aircraft, and other metal products manufacturing companies and for machine shops. Next is mechanists work in wood manufacturing and food processing plants, no, as well as in refineries. When we say processing plants, know how to use of machines. The powered hand tools, mga power hand tools, example, mga electric or controlled or powered tools. Also, mechanists have an interest in mechanization, of course. Next is must have strong attention to detail and be able to communicate complicated technical ideas with precision and clarity. Also need to have good physical mobility as well as be able to lift heavy objects and handle production pressures calmly. Read also and interpret engineering drawings, blueprints, charts and tables or study sample parts ano to determine mechanic operations to be performed and plan best sequence of operations, no, in the machinery. And also can do compute dimensions and tolerances, measure and lay out workpieces, mechanists set up to operate and maintain a variety of machine tools including the CNC or the computer numerically controlled tool, no. It is to perform precision mechanic operations such as sewing, turning, milling, boring, planing, drilling, precision grinding and other operations. Next is mechanists fit and assemble machine parts and sub-assembles using hand and their working power tools. And then next is verify dimensions. Welders can verify dimensions of products for accuracy and conformance to specifications using precision measuring equipments. So we come now to the facts about a mechanist working conditions. First is mechanists and mechanic and tooling inspectors, same as the welders, typically work 40 hours per week. However, no, some overtime may be required talaga sila to meet production schedules. So, in some larger operations, mechanists required shift work. Next is mechanist and mechanic and tooling inspector typically work indoors in machine shops or manufacturing plants. When we say manufacturing plants, it engage in the fabricating, processing, finishing or similar production such as in mill, factory, shop, no, a workshop, warehouse and also industrial shops. The next is no since they are working in a machinery, no, they are manufacturing plants, no, the working conditions can be noisy and dirty, no, and workers may also be exposed to unpleasant odors, so there is a possible hazard. So the hazard include physical injuries due to possible machinery related accidents, hearing damage from noise, and sickness caused by exposure to toxic lubricants or coolants. So, the increased use of enclosed and automated equipment is pwede siyang ma-reduce, no, yung risk of such injuries and remove much of the noise and dirt created in traditional machine shops and plants. So, mechanist and mechanic and tooling inspector are required sila talaga to stand for most of the workday. So, it is important that there is a um, 5S, no, of course, that need to practice, and the safety precautions, no, it is very important. And also the last one is at times, so these workers may also be required. No? Required yung mga mechanists to lift moderately heavy objects which may increase the risk of back injury. However, no, modern shops and factories nowadays is nag-i-employ na sila mga auto-loaders and overhead cranes that reduce the need to lift heavy objects. So, that's all my topic about um, welding, metal casting, and the facts about welders' working conditions, uh, mechanists, and welders, and also the processes and the methods. Thank you, ma'am. That's all.